Hi everyone, my name is Holly and I've been reading a lot and I'm very happy to say that I might be back to posting videos regularly. Also, my gaming channel hit 1,000 subscribers, so now my brain can finally be at peace. So thank you to anyone who went over there and hit the subscribe button. You are the best. So today's video is kind of just like giving you an update. I'm going to review some books I've read recently. A couple that I've read a while back that I've been waiting to talk about until we got closer to the release dates, like The Sword Defiant. I'll post a picture here. Oh wait, actually I have a separate video for that one. That one will be going up soon, so look out for that. I'll be showing you what I'm currently reading and what's on the docket for my next reads. That's the plan. But before we get into the rest of this video, I have something important to do. This video is sponsored by Saiho, who are an elite company who specializes in home office products, and they sent over their M18 office chair and I can't help but spin in it. So getting this chair was actually an incredible victory for me because I actually plan to create my own office space upstairs, because the desk that I am sitting at is actually Darren's space and it would be really nice to have my own. So the first step was to get a nice comfy chair to work in, and I can now check mark that off my list. But I'm really excited because it is adjustable. I am a very small person. I am only 5 foot, and unlike most chairs, I can actually touch the floor. It gives me all of the back support that I need, all of the lumbar support, and even the cervical neck support up here, which is really nice and also adjustable. See? Small heads and for big heads. I have a big head, so it works for me. It has everything that I need as someone who works from home most days. Even adjustable sizes on each armrest, so you can really mold it to your own body. My cats even love this chair. In fact, they probably get more use out of it than I do. It was super easy to assemble. It didn't take me long at all. In fact, it's absolutely doable for one person. I love the sleek black look, and then it has the chrome detailing on the legs. It's a really beautiful touch. It makes it look really fancy in my opinion. And we also have the mesh back, which will help keep me cool in the summer months. It gets warm in this apartment, and even like with the aircon running, I can still get a little bit sweaty, especially when I'm sitting here gaming. So this will be a nice welcome bonus to keeping my back nice and cool. So if you would like your own office chair, or maybe the one that you have now is a bit older and you're looking for an upgrade, or maybe the one that you have now is a bit older, then look no further than the M18 office chair by Saiho. You can click the link down below in my description box. It will take you right to their website where you can shop the rest of their products, or get this one and we can be twinning. A comfortable chair is really important to me as someone who literally sits in one all freaking day. So thanks again, Saiho, for working with me today, and now it's on to the rest of the video where I haul this thing up the staircase. The first book that I want to talk about today is Infinity Gate. This is the first book to a sci-fi duology. It's the same author who wrote the really famous book, The Girl with All the Gifts, actually a book that I haven't read yet. That's kind of shameful in my opinion. I feel like this is one of those books, it gives off like that first book feeling where it's slow, confusing, but like once you read the sequel, it completely like corrects that and actually benefits from it if you can stick with it. It's a long con basically. This takes the idea of multiverses and just runs with it. A lot of the worlds here are very similar to ours, but most of them aren't. It examines what would happen if the environment were just like a little bit different. How would the flora and fauna evolve? Like that kind of stuff. Very sciencey. It really dives into those kinds of questions. Well, when new worlds are discovered, they are welcomed, air quotes, welcomed, into the pandemonium, aka they better get in line or else. And then in this book, a new player comes in and we all find out what or else means, and it isn't pretty. The book follows a few main characters and the chapters skip back and forth between each of their stories. This method of storytelling I really like it, when it's, especially when it's like not too many characters, and I think it helps explain this story in particular pretty well. Now, I do want to say this book ends on a massive cliffhanger. When I say cliffhanger, I actually mean like you are chucked right off the freaking cliff. But thankfully, it's just a duology, like I said before. So the next book will see us to the end. I think it's duology. Oh gosh, what if I'm wrong? I'm pretty sure I've seen somewhere that this is just 2 books. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. Anyways, I liked this. I didn't love it, but I do see myself reading the sequel because again, very jarring ending, but I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read recently was The Faceless. This is the sequel to The Unbroken, which I reviewed a couple months ago, and I'll be honest, I'm kind of glad I waited to almost read these like back to back because it was just fun to read these that way, to have all of that information and lore and like the relationships between characters readily like available in my brain. That was very nice. And of course, keeping this spoiler free, but the tension between the two fictional countries that the story follows or like focuses on is higher than ever before. So Terrain, one of the characters you follow, is tasked by her brand new government to go on a diplomatic mission to the other country, and she's chosen primarily because of her relationship with the heir to the throne, Luca, main character here on this cover. And everyone knows that these two have some sort of romance brewing. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot more plotting. There's like costume balls, revolutionaries, ancient blood magic. It was just really, really fun. These books are just plain fun. Besides the like terrible decision making the characters make, which it's so freaking common in fantasy these days. You just have to get used to it at this point. Characters make dumb decisions. I mean, if I was in this situation, I would probably make dumb decisions too. Especially when you're faced with a pretty girl like this on this cover. Like, I'm dumbfounded. I enjoyed this, and I'm looking forward to see how the series wraps up in book 3. I do really hope that when we get the cover reveal for book 3, whenever we get to see that, sports both Luca and Terrain together. That would be pretty badass. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. And the last book I'm going to review today is The Bone Shard War. I have been sitting on this review for months, and I'm finally getting my review out. I apologize that it's been taking me so long. This is the finale to one of my favorite fantasy trilogies, and this one went in a very different direction than the first two. All of our characters are separated, and they each are like on their own personal journey, which I really enjoyed. I think for an ending, it gave each character to almost like a time to say goodbye in a way. It is much slower in my opinion than the first two, which is different than your like typical epic finale. Normally you get like the tension the entire way through, but Stuart went in a different direction. I didn't find that to be negative at all. In fact, I actually liked the slower paced feel, especially for a series that I don't want to end. If I was like iffy on the whole series, of course I'd want this to end quickly, like freaking get it over with, but that's not the case here. Throughout this entire series, Andrea slowly builds a rich fantasy world with cute animal companions, ancient elemental magic wielders, and bone magic. And in this final book, she answers all of the questions that us readers have had for years. Like, what the heck are the sinking islands all about? To a satisfying conclusion. I've been with this series since the beginning, and I'm so excited to see what else this author has for us in the future. I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. I highly recommend the series to people who like high fantasy, animal companions, morally gray characters, and a really cool magic system. And it's just written by an author who's freaking cool, so read it. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the book that I'm currently reading, and that is The Trials of Ashmouth. This is an indie published fantasy that I'm really enjoying so far. I'm only about 100 pages in, and it is a very thick book, nearly 500 pages, which is like your typical read for me. So there's still a lot of story here for me to digest, but I'm just having a lot of fun with it. It is brutal as hell, but I hate it when characters have plot armor and face death without any consequences, and that's not the case here. But yeah, I'm loving this. I think this is like the epitome of fantasy, like just straight up fantasy, no gimmicks. There's magic, grimdark. So I'm really grateful to have a physical copy, and you'll be seeing a much more in-depth review from me very soon, because I can already tell that I'm going to fly through the rest of this. When I say the epitome of fantasy, I'm talking battle scenes, swords, just classic fantasy, bro. Like, this is the stuff that I love. I also feel like this author and I are just like on the same wavelength. I don't know, like I'm connecting here, and I see what you're doing, and I think you wrote it for me, if I'm being honest. Alrighty, so moving on to the books that I am going to be reading next. And I'm actually like sticking to the theme of indie self-published, because I mean, self-published is freaking amazing. So I will be reading The Sword of Mercy and Wrath, which was sent to me from the author, which I'm incredibly grateful for the offer. I saw this book around Twitter, and it definitely caught my eye with this badass character on the cover with only one arm. Like, how more badass can you be? Holding a freaking bloody sword with one arm. I need to know your story. This is another just like grim, dark fantasy, another book that I think I am going to enjoy the heck out of. As someone who loves just anything medieval, the author mentioned that this is like pure medieval. 100% 5-star potential. Also, like reading the back kind of reminds me a little bit of like Dragon Age. Just a little bit like the story of Dragon Age. And also like I'm getting Joe Abercrombie vibes, so. And the next indie published book that I'll be reading is actually a sci-fi, and that is Advent 9, which is another book that was sent to me from the author. I'm actually going to be doing a whole video for this book, so be on the lookout for that. I don't know a whole lot about it except for it sounds like superhero-y, and also a lot of the reviews mention that the main character is autistic, so an autistic superhero main character. That sounds pretty cool. Also, I just really love this cover. It's very aesthetically pleasing to me, and it's just a beautiful book overall, so I'm very excited to get to it. Okay, so that is today's video. Those are my reviews, what I'm currently reading, and what I will be reading next. Like I said, I have been a reading machine. I've been mood reading a shit ton lately, and I feel like it's really helping me. Making TBR videos these days, I tend to rebel against them. I never thought I would be a mood reader. In fact, I had always stated that I can plan my reads months ahead, stick to it, but lately that's just not happening. Anyways, go ahead and like this video if you liked, subscribe if you aren't, I'd love to have you here, and until we meet again, happy reading.